Roland Emmerich, why couldn't you do more stuff like this instead of cliche disaster film crap? Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi-Night. I'm your host, Sebastian Dendel Martinez, and this is the show where we check out some of the lesser-known sci-fi and horror movies out there and let you know what to expect from them. So in tonight's episode, we're checking out a movie about moon-based space helicopters. It's not as stupid as it sounds. Moon 44 is a film from 1990, back when our film heroes could smoke and still get away with it. The movie is directed by disaster fetishist Roland Emmerich, a director who I have, let's say, mixed feelings about. He's directed Stargate and Universal Soldier, two films I actually really like, but he's also directed crap like 10,000 BC and the 1998 Godzilla remake, as well as really cliché disaster films like The Day After Tomorrow in 2012. So when it comes to Roland Emmerich's work, I know a lot of people like Independence Day, and while it is kind of fun, I just think it's too cliche and stupid. Anyway, Moon 44 is one of his earlier films, takes place in the year 2038, and is set in the super specific area of the Outer Zone. Oh, right, that place. In the film's universe, the Earth's resources and minerals are all but depleted, causing the need for space mining on other planets and moons. This sets the stage for huge evil multinational corporations to more or less wage war for resources out in space in order to peacefully profit on Earth. Yeah, this sounds way too fun and cool to be from the guy who did 10,000 BC, right? We follow one corporation that's fighting a losing battle against a rival.
You read me? You'll all be killed! Mayday! Mayday!
Most of the battles are waged by futuristic helicopter-ish battles on the planet's surfaces using one pilot and one guide/control person teaming up as a duo.
Are separated, but you function as one unit.
So these wimps sit on their skinny butts while we risk our necks?
Your life depends upon you listening to these guys.
Great.
However, it's so dangerous that the corporation resorts to using convicts as pilots, since most of the normal pilots get killed in their last effort to save Moon 44 from their rivals.
Before you men got into trouble with the law, some of you were pilots. The company is giving you a chance to reduce your prison sentence.
And yeah, the film's protagonist is played by Michael Paré, who you might recognize from a bunch of really shitty B-movies, but I'm kind of surprised here because he does a pretty good job in the leading role. Paré plays an agent who goes undercover with the convicts in order to unravel what the corporation deems to be someone on the inside betraying them.
What's the catch?
Paré really seems to be channeling Snake Plissken with his nonchalant, borderline dick attitude.
Answer me when I talk to you.
I think you got me confused with somebody who takes you serious.
Shut up, goddammit, before you piss me off!
But it actually kind of works, and most of the other actors do a fine job, even if some are kind of over the top.
You think you're funny, don't you?
No. Yes. Wait, if I say no, does that mean I'm funny?
No!
Oh yeah, the film also stars Michael McDowell, which, should mean something.
Welcome to the real world.
But the Clockwork Orange star has just been in so much crap over the years that I find myself more suspicious than anything whenever I see his name attached to a movie.
Doesn't surprise me.
The film also features Brian Thompson, who you might recognize as the alien bounty hunter from the X-Files. So if this movie's set design reminds you of Aliens, well then you're definitely not alone, because I think it's pretty similar, but I give Moon 44 a pass because we still do just enough to distinguish themselves. The arrival of a convict sets off a clear conflict between them and the nerdy pilot controllers, with some pretty unexpected results. We'll get back to that later. Anyway, this happens as Paré tries to discover who's betraying the company, all while the base prepares for the inevitable attack from the corporation's rivals, trying to both keep the peace while also uncover the mystery of who may be a spy, feeding information to the rivals. One thing I've got to bring up is a surprisingly dark turn of the story where we're exposed to just straight up prison rape straight out of Oz. It's so dark and from out of nowhere and out of place, and I don't really understand why Emmerich felt the need to include it. So aside from that really out of place scene, this was actually mostly pretty enjoyable. The film has a nice little atmosphere and look and feel, and the overall production and set design really worked for me. The characters were interesting and fun enough, and while kind of underdeveloped, this world itself was interesting, the acting holds up, and while the effects may be dated, for the time it all looks good. So, what should you expect from this movie? Space prison helicopter action. So, there may not be quite as much space helicopter action as I would have liked.
How you like that?
I don't.
But this base, which kind of feels like a space prison with the convicts and everything, is mostly cool, and they're built up so much in the film that while the action itself may not be spectacular, it's still a lot of fun. There are some kind of lame and dry parts, and the spacecopter parts could have been more exciting, but the overall premise for this was pretty damn fun. Just a shame we didn't get more of it.
Stone, are you okay?
As opposed to what, Miss Morgan?
Good production. So I'll admit that the spacecopter parts could have been better with a $15 million budget, but overall I really liked the Aliens-ish production design. The set design is pretty good and the locations look real and lived in. Plus there is just a great feeling of dystopia and a constant looming threat to be attacked from a rival corporation, which adds a lot of atmosphere. Basically the production is amongst the best components in the film.
Stone, you're beautiful!
A hit and miss film. So while I do like a lot, it definitely has its fair share of flaws. The acting is fine, but the characters are pretty cliche, and I have no fucking idea what kind of idiots are running this moon base, because who would allow these criminals to harass and treat vital staff members like crap? Vital staff members who everyone, including the prisoners, are depending on. The so-called twist is also fairly predictable, and aside from a random super dark turn in the showers I mentioned earlier, this film won't really surprise you. The setup is cool, but there are quite a few plot holes, and while this film is fun, it does at times give off kind of a predictable B-movie feeling spread in between the surprisingly cool bleak universe that our characters inhabit.
Bandits are approaching the station. They're coming straight at us.
So yeah, this film is actually kind of cool and fun, but a lot of the writing is just not really that great and brings down what could otherwise have been kind of a cult classic. So some people seem to find this film to be a fun, underrated gem, others find it to be cliche crap. Most people seem to be in agreement in that the design and production is great though, with the cliche but fun characters inhabiting a pretty interesting universe, and if you're willing to be forgiving, you can definitely have a fun time with this, as I do see a much better film in potential than in execution. Overall, it's pretty alright, and if helicopter battles and prison drama and space sounds interesting to you, well, then give it a go.
Galactic mining has lost one planet right after another. Everybody massacred in these surprise attacks. They don't even know how it happened because there's no survivors.
So that about does it for this episode of Sci-Fi-Night. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, you should let us know what you thought of this episode, the movie Moon 44, and give us some suggestions for future videos in the comments below. So, I'm your host, Sebastian Mendel Martinez, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Lighter built into the dash. It's right under the red button.
Where's the ashtray, wise guy?
Ashtray? What do you think this is, a limo?